Good evening, everybody. This is SeetherCast episode 4. I am very, very happy to be back. Are we ready for a little Finding Beauty in Negative Spaces, track by track?
Oh, yeah.
All right. First and foremost, we have Like Suicide, and boy, is there a story to this song. We've talked about it on stream before, but for those who don't know, this is a song the label heard it and they said absolutely fucking not. Sean Morgan, in all of his infinite wisdom, said, you know what? Fuck you. And then proceeded to record it anyway and upload it piece by piece by piece to MySpace. Proceeded to get the fans so hyped for it that it absolutely had to be included on the album. There was no getting around it. The record label was like, okay, sure, we see what you're doing here. Like Suicide became the opening track to Finding Beauty in Negative Spaces, and what a fucking bop this song is. Don't trip over yourselves.
So I had heard, now this may just be a rumor, I can't necessarily confirm this, but I thought I saw somewhere that after the hype for the song, the label initially had proposed Like Suicide be the lead single, which I can't really see happening, but then they opted for Fake It. But that's not substantiated anywhere, but I just heard that in passing somewhere.
I can't imagine that being true.
But anyways, it's a great opening track. It starts out differently than other Seether opening tracks with that sparse little lead guitar in the beginning, but things get amped up pretty quickly. People often remember the song for its heaviness with the screaming sections and everything and the heavy guitars, but I really like the chorus and just how melodic it is. And we're going to talk about this more in each individual song, but like, the instrumentation on this album is incredible, and everything's so layered, and there's so many different guitars and ambient little instruments and even white noise sometimes. So it all sounds like a little shoegazy at times, like that like Smashing Pumpkins sort of sound. So I think that's really cool. Banger, great opener. They do it great live. One of my personal favorites on the album.
Great live. Before I go any further, Chris, because I've got some more thoughts about this one. How have you connected with Like Suicide?
Well, like Ricky said, I really like the instrumentals. Drums pop. Someone said they don't play this live anymore because venues are against, like Suicide, like having suicide in a song. I don't really buy that.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah.
People speculated in the sub a while back. A lot of unfounded rumors around Like Suicide, apparently. People speculated that Sean did not, in fact, write it. Their only grounds for that being that, well, he hasn't written anything similar to it. That doesn't seem like him at all. And I want to debunk that in two different ways. One, the entire process for recording the song, for writing and conceiving this song, was published online. We know who was there and how it went. And secondly, the argument of Sean Morgan didn't write that because that doesn't sound like something he wrote. Well, neither does Dangerous or Judas Mind or Country Song or Fake It. You know, maybe he doesn't flex his muscles incredibly often, but he can be incredibly creative. This is absolutely a Sean Morgan child, if you ask me.
Yeah, I had seen some of that speculation too, that this was like a leftover piece from Pat Callahan, but I don't really buy that because it doesn't really seem like his style either, I don't think.
No, it's more atmospheric, it's more creeping than a lot of what Pat Callahan contributed.
A lot of
First
his
album without him, by the way.
A lot of his like heavier riffs and stuff were more like visceral and not really mood based, just more aggressive, I think.
Yeah. Pat Callahan, his style, he has this very kind of aggressive, like shredding style. I don't mean shredding as in like the technique, but as in like it's visceral, the things that he writes. I certainly appreciate everything that he contributed while he was here.
For
Um,
for this album only having one guitarist, you wouldn't know it. Sean does an admirable job covering for him, and it makes me all the more disappointed in Isolate and Poison the Parish's guitars because he did great things on this album instrumentally.
yeah, and he's certainly done some great things since. But this also comes. Sean, and Pat were living together in New York, and it was a just completely fucking alien world. You know, they got their matching tattoos there. Finding Beauty was recorded in L.A. We've heard Sean talk about the culture shock of moving out west and kind of living out there during these recording sessions and stuff. He talked about seeing all the fucking Botox and um, just fucking trash that you have to deal with out there. He was very kind of disillusioned with it. I don't think he was ever gonna stay out in like Hollywood. Just not his scene at all.
He hates superficiality, and that's what LA is to a T.
Yeah. Anyway, next track is our first single. If you've ever turned on a fucking rock radio station, you have heard "Fake It." I don't know what to say. I think the video is creative. You know, it's 2009 to its very core, but I really like it, or 2007, whatever it was. Um, it This song was conceived when Sean Morgan was like playing around on guitar, and he was like, "I wonder if I could write a rock song around like a swing beat, you know, like a classic, you know, dun 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 dun, dun, you know." And that's how "Fake It" came to be. It worked. It was a cool ass experiment. I don't know if I would have chose it for a lead single, but you know, what a piece of this band's history. What do you guys think about this one?
This song does not get enough credit, especially by the Seether fandom, because um, not only is it catchy, but it's still like heavy and aggressive enough to make you feel like you're really still listening to Seether.
Yeah.
Great guitar work in here. The drum beat's awesome. Instrumentally, it's all you can ask for. I do like how the lyrics are like kind of tongue in cheek in the verses, but then there's like an explosion of like aggression with "I Can Fake It with the Best of Anyone" in the bridge and all that. Um, so
And you want to talk about superficiality and, you know, living in LA. God, this song is so much a product of where Sean was at the time. Like, have you ever realized that this poor bastard gets carted off to LA and conceives "Fake It"? I
Oh,
can see the connection.
by the way, this song hits different too when you're playing Burnout Paradise on the PS3. It's in the
Yeah,
soundtrack because you're just blowing up other people's cars or your own if you're me, and the song's in the background.
I loved the Burnout games.
Hell yeah.
I heard it was another WWE soundtrack for something.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't
Yeah.
in a video game. It was for the No Way Out pay-per-view in 2008, I believe, which comes right before WrestleMania, which is like their Super Bowl.
That's fucking cool. I didn't know that.
The WWE also used Remedy and Sold Me for their shows in the past, and later on they used Tonight for a video package. WWE Hall of Famer Edge when he retired to celebrate his career. So they've
It's fucking
certainly
cool.
they've certainly gotten their fair share of pay from World Wrestling Entertainment over the years.
Little lore dump.
I'm not super crazy about this song. I think I like the iTunes version better.
A lot of
It's
people
like
say
a
that.
slowed down version, so
I'm not crazy about that version. I do love the way that they play it live. Not the acoustic slowed down live, but you know, all plugged in and everything. Um, People don't, to your point, Ricky, people don't credit Seether enough for what they're able to do while still staying firmly in the grounds of like hard rock. Like "Fake It," I would wager even country song, as much as some people may not like it. You look at something more creeping or atmospheric, like again, you know, "Dangerous" or even "Wasteland." Um, or even Judas Mind, or even a song like "Regret," all just vastly different songs that still fit so squarely within Seether's wheelhouse or within, you know, this genre. That's a rare talent. A lot of times bands try to experiment and they create a fucking abomination so horrid you never want to look at it. I think it's really cool what Sean's able to do with some of these songs.
Absolutely. And just one more thing on Fake It real quick. To your point, like another great thing about Fake It is it's very like accessible while still retaining their sound. Like I mean, even if you don't like this kind of music, I think people are much more likely to enjoy this song than like a deep cut or whatever. So they were able to break into the mainstream with this song. So
Yeah,
definitely
the charts reflect that for sure.
yes.
Um, Next track is, I believe this was the second single, or maybe it was the third. I can't remember. I don't feel like looking it up.
Third.
It's third. Okay, cool. It's a breakdown. This is as run of the mill a Seether song as you can get. I think it's really fun to play. I love the progression, I suppose you would say. The video again, creative, but I don't know. I think like some other older Seether singles, I'm just kind of burnt out on it. What do you guys think about this one?
I'm in 100% agreement with you. And though I do like the song quite a bit, it's very moving. It, it's
For
probably my
sure.
least favorite song on the album, but that just speaks to the quality of Finding Beauty. Every song on here is a banger. Um, there's some really great lead guitar work. This song, more than any other on the album, is obviously about Amy Lee. So I appreciate all the sentiments and everything, but yeah, it doesn't quite hit like it used to for me. I think I'm a little burned out from it as well. One interesting thing about the music video is it is the first music video in which they did not show the band playing. They just showed an entirely different concept. So
That's a neat touch. And I hate to spend too much time in the Amy Lee discourse since 20 years ago, but I will say that woman in that video, she she looks a very certain way. Very similar, perhaps, to another certain someone. That's all I'm going to say.
it's just a coincidence, I'm sure.
Well,
I hope it
apparently
is.
there was another girl that he dated around the same time, and he said something like, Amy was a saint compared to her. So,
Yeah, I don't know anything about that woman. I think he may have had his first daughter with that other woman. I'm not sure.
No,
I
there
don't know
was
if you guys.
someone else actually, because the song "Fallen" was about her. She was like some model. This was after Amy Lee. Sean definitely gets around and knows how to pick them.
He did. Um, Shout out Jordan. I'm glad he finally settled down and seems very happy. But yeah, he has an older daughter that, as far as I know, they don't like really communicate at all. She must be like 18 or 20 years old by now.
I think older. I think his first daughter is from South Africa. It was a woman in South Africa.
yeah, I think so. I
Oh
think
shit.
Broken was written for her or about her.
Yeah, I remember reading that somewhere. Pinch of salt on that. Everybody at home, I'm not sure, but I think I remember that.
Mhm.
Um anyway, I'm gonna back away from that because I feel like that's veering a little bit into like the personal, and we're not really here for that, I suppose. Um, I will say very quickly before we move on from breakdown, it sounds great acoustic. It A lot of Seether songs translate very well acoustic. In fact, Sean writes a lot of them acoustic first, when he's chilling in the studio or whatever, and then plugs in later on. Um, I mentioned in the past show a live show recorded by a guy on YouTube named Maxim something. They played Breakdown at that show, and it sounds amazing. Very high quality recording. I would definitely recommend checking that out. Um,
This was around the era they started like tuning down some songs live. So on the studio version, this is in drop D flat, which is Karma and Effect tuning and everything. But then they put it to drop C for the live stuff, which you know gives Sean a little bit of a deeper voice and makes the guitar sound a little richer and darker. So it gives it that cool sound.
that's how I play it as well. Um, next is "Fuck Me Like You Hate Me," fourth track on the album.
This is a
So
great song. I don't care what anyone says.
hell yeah, this song is awesome. The vibe of this fucking song is incredible. Especially during the bridge where Sean confesses, "I should have been the one who died." I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but that you can only say that from a point of deep-seated like remorse or like self-hatred. Again, exact meaning unclear. I just know that it resonated with me incredibly strongly, and I love this fucking song. I was under the misconception for a long time. The subreddit actually cleared this up. Um, I didn't think he meant "fuck me like you hate me." I didn't think he meant it literally because a lot of people accuse this of trying to be sexy, like a butt rock song. I thought that it was like
It's
he was
completely
using that as
metaphorical.
yeah. I thought it was metaphorical, like a song about those who are supposed to love you or are supposed to be intimate with you, breaking you down or destroying you or what have you. Someone in the subreddit actually sent me an interview where Sean said, "Spoiler alert, cover your ears if you don't like to know meanings or anything, I suppose." Sean said it was conceived about a relationship that they hated each other. They didn't want anything to do with each other unless they were having sex. Like, it was this extremely toxic relationship where they both had this mentality of, "Oh, well, at least I'm getting off, or at least this is good for that." And that was like the only value that they saw in each other. Again, extremely toxic. Shout out whoever cleared that up in the subreddit. I appreciate that. What do you guys think about this one?
So I love this song, and maybe a little bit biased. I'm nostalgic for it. It gives me a lot of good memories. 13-year-old me really connected with this one, and it's very reminiscent of "Fake It" sonically. I think they were going for the same kind of feel. Just like the lyrics do get a little like deeper and more meaningful, but the song itself is very fun and upbeat and um, kind of like a dark party song. So I appreciate that. The drums on this album sound so fucking good, and particularly here, like John Humphrey really stepped up his game, I think, compared to Carmen Effect, and he's just gotten so good over the years. Um, so yeah, great track overall.
This is kind of a divisive one for the community, Chris. I'm curious what you think about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's about sex.
I
So what
choose
you
to look at it kind of metaphorically, like I was saying. But go ahead.
yeah, what you were saying about I should have been the one who died. To me, that's kind of like someone checking out of a relationship. Um
Ooh, I like
Someone did say though that this song was in a My Little Pony game.
what?
I don't believe that. I was trying to look it up, but
That's got to be a gag. Um, Let me go ahead. I meant to have the lyrics on hand, but I completely forgot coming into the show.
I
Everybody
don't.
at home, if you don't notice, like I'm not firing on all fucking cylinders today. I apologize. What's up, Chris? I mean, Ricky.
No, I was just a little braggadocious saying I know all the words. I don't know every word of every Seether song, but I probably know every lyric on this album front to back.
I just like having them in front of me, but that reminds me, I have a friend. He was like, "You can't be that familiar with their discography, or you can't like them that much." So he pulled out Spotify, and he would play a song for a second, and then pause it like immediately. Like he'd just tap it twice,
Yeah, yeah.
and he'd be like, "What was that?" And I got it right every time. He went to
So
play "Fuck Me Like You Hate Me," and that first drum hit landed. I was like, "Oh, that's "Fuck Me Like You Hate Me." And he was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
that's crazy. My brother was doing that with me like a few months ago, and he even started playing like really obscure ones. I'm like, oh, that's Dead Seeds. That's Misunderstood. He's like,
Yeah,
bro, you need to get a life.
yeah. It was kind of fun, I suppose. I remembered the line that I wanted to point out from this song. This is why I wanted the lyrics in front of me. Sean, I think 3 times, maybe 2, has used the phrase "coming undone" to reference someone just falling apart or losing themselves or whatever, depending upon the context. I knew this one person that was convinced, especially in a song, like "Fuck Me Like You Hate Me," they were talking about, like, again, sex, like fucking climaxing, I suppose. That's absolutely not the fucking case. He's talking about a person coming undone, falling apart.
The other song I can think of where he uses that line is "Roses," and in that song, he's certainly not using it in that context.
Yeah. You little horn dogs, get your shit together.
What about those pink panties that they sold? The "Fuck Me Like You Hate Me."
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yes,
like every year on Twitter, they will just post a link to this song and just say "Happy fucking Valentine's Day."
another line that stuck out to me in "Fuck Me Like You Hate Me" is, you'll come around when you find me faceless. I'm fucking losing my identity, and you were taking advantage of me like you always do. I think that's just another really powerful line. Next in the track list, though, is "Fallen." Um, God, that Dale Stewart bass sounds so good. And yet another song you could put this right behind "Fake It." Another just absolute fucking missile fired at just the vapid, soulless, people out there that are treating their body like a fucking commodity. Can I point out something about this song that you guys might not be able to unhear?
Yeah, go for it.
So when there's like gasps, or it sounds like he's like out of breath during parts of it. He's like, I believe. Like, when you notice it, you cannot unnotice it. It's just in the background. And I swear to God, I cannot take this song seriously once I noticed it. I pointed it out to my wife, and she was mad. She was like, why would you even tell me that?
I love this song too. You're gonna ruin it for me.
I hope you will be able to get past it. Chris, what you think about "Fallen"?
I like the screams towards the end, but
Me too.
I'd rather have "No Shelter" in its place.
Ooh, okay.
I would have made that trade in a heartbeat as well. Fallen kind of has bonus track written all over it. Now that I think about it.
Oh, you guys are crazy. No, Fallen is an album highlight for me. Interesting you mentioned "No Shelter." Those two main riffs sound very much alike. That's probably why.
Yeah, actually.
That's probably why they couldn't be paired together. I love this song. It has a great fucking guitar solo. I think Sean sounds very passionate vocally throughout.
Agreed.
There's something really like menacing and sinister about the riff, like after the bass guitar drops out and just it's so catchy. And you guys might think I'm crazy, but I think this could have been a single in a parallel universe. They've never played this one live, which is amazing to me because it just has like arena rock energy all over it. Like, I'm saying this about all these songs, but I have such a personal connection with this one. I think the best part of the song is I got my ticket for the next makeover, like that part, that pre-chorus.
Yeah,
Epic. I can't even explain it.
Followed up by that. I've lost my taste for this shit. I'll keep my pride, thank you.
But I love songs like this where Sean's like defiant and rebellious. It really helps me keep in touch with my inner teenager again.
The next up is "Rise Above This," also our next single. The lore behind this one is pretty much known to anybody. Written for Eugene, Sean's brother, who tragically passed away to suicide in Rapid City several years ago. This song has since kind of become a beacon or a symbol of, kind of mental health awareness and Sean's struggles and endeavors with suicide prevention and whatnot. God, what a great song! I'm gonna give it to you guys, and then I'll talk about Rise Above Fest for a little bit.
Chris, why don't you go? I have some elongated words for this song momentarily.
Yeah, so I know the song means a lot to people. I'm not super crazy about it. I have to be in the right mood to listen to it.
Me too.
It was used in a commercial for a mattress,
What?
Are you
which
fucking with me?
no, which I might post, but I don't think people want to watch a mattress commercial.
I do.
So I
I
might
kind of want
post
to
it
see it.
like unlisted,
Does
put it in the
it?
description. So
Does a guy like swan dive off a building and like bounce off the mattress?
no.
Oh, fucking uncreative, pretentious bitches.
So
Uh,
what's the point of it? Do you like rise above the covers on the mattress? Is that the connection they're like trying to make?
Maybe it just
I don't
sounded
know.
cool. Bro, that's so goofy.
Any,
Before I start yapping about the festival, go ahead, Ricky.
yeah, Chris, I'm so sorry to hear that you're not in love with the song like me, but that's a pretty common opinion. Not everyone, especially diehard Seether fans, are crazy about this song, but I'm unapologetic for my love in it. It's easily a top 10 favorite Seether song for me. And the riff was inspired by 1979 by Smashing Pumpkins, and
Yeah,
the only resemblance is it uses similar octave chords, but it's very different. That's more like kind of like just dream pop, where this is like a little slice of pop punk, I'd say, like very reminiscent of like what bands like Paramore were doing at the time, which may not be a favorable comparison for some people, but I don't care. I love all that shit.
Paramore's awesome.
Yeah, they are. But yeah. So this song, I think a song like this, we all kind of can, personalize and make it relate to our own lives. And I certainly have my own personal meanings with it and everything. But it's just an objectively like well written song, and Sean puts 110% into the
Yeah,
vocals, especially in the
and I
chorus.
love the way he belts that chorus out.
Yeah, he did not have to go that hard. He could have just had some standard like grungy singing, but instead he pours his fucking heart and soul into it. So I have mad respect for this song. Prime candidate for a single. My only gripe about it is sadly it doesn't sound that great live, and it never has. That's unfortunate.
I
To the
think the
point,
riff just doesn't translate well live,
to the
especially when they change the tuning. Go ahead.
to the point where I'd be okay if they remove it from the set list entirely. But
Yeah, I mean,
let's talk
I
about
hate to
Rise
do that.
Above, the festival. This is a great thing they did, by the way.
Yeah, so it's kind of parasocial and it's kind of weird, I suppose, to put so much stock into, a musician or whatever. But Sean kind of proved to me that people can change. This guy that for years was, by all accounts, I'm sorry, I love him, but let's look at it objectively. He was a fucking dick. He was an alcoholic. He was showing his ass all the fucking time. It is what it is. But for that guy to experience all this grief and all this loss and turn it around to make something like Rise Above Fest. So, what Rise Above Fest is, if anybody is unaware, it's this festival that Sean Morgan put together initially in Bangor, Maine, I believe, where he got all these bands to come out and all the publicity and everything. It was all in favor of bringing awareness to suicide prevention. He partnered with this charity called Save
Suicide awareness, voices,
Voices.
education, or something.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Um, he donated the proceeds. He was helping out like veterans. He was putting all this money toward like mental health research, and he was in a meaningful way really furthering our understanding of mental illness and suicide and things of that nature. This is, in my opinion, one of the highlights of his career. This is one of the coolest, most impactful things he has ever fucking done. This festival ran for a fucking while. It was a big fucking deal, and they did a really good thing. For Sean to devote himself to this thing was just such a fucking powerful thing to me. And obviously, the inspiration behind this all was Rise Above This and, Eugene's suicide. Um, Such an incredible fucking thing. I hate that the festival's not running anymore. Um, I never actually got to go to Rise Above Fest. I have been to several other Seether shows, but not this one. Do you guys have anything in particular to say about this? Am I leaving anything out?
One cool thing about it is it's in my obscure home state that I thought nobody knew about because Sean lived here for a brief period of time. Um,
That's
so
cool.
that's pretty neat. Yeah, I sadly, I mean, I was just a little kid. I never made it to any of them.
I think one year they hosted it somewhere else because Bangor didn't work out, or maybe Bangor was where they moved to. I can't remember. There was some trickery with that, and I think them not being able to find a place to host it and it getting postponed and shit is what ultimately led to it kind of not being a thing anymore.
But it's a great concept, and I did want to touch on what you were talking about with like, there's nothing wrong with putting like personal importance or emphasis on like a celebrity necessarily, because I mean we do that with historical figures all the time too, and we're analyzing like people's behaviors and growth and evolution over time. So no, if that's like a personal source of inspiration, that's awesome, and it does just go to show how um, people really can change over time and learn from their mistakes and become more whole. And it shows that people who don't always make the best choices can still do good and still provide incredible worth in the lives of others.
Yeah, and I mean, look at him now. Sober by all accounts, great dad, married, living on like a farm with his kids. Just your absolute fucking American dream. But yeah, before the show, me and Ricky were talking about me and my mother having an estranged relationship to some extent because she wasn't making very good choices, and I was very much of the mind that people do not change fundamentally. They do not change. I was very staunch in that. I had never seen it, but that's just because I suppose I had never met anybody that wanted to change. People in my orbit were just stuck in their ways. They made the same bad decisions over and over and over again. So for me, in my teenage years, to actively, day by day, see this guy that I'm really invested in, musically and whatnot, see Sean Morgan, better himself and decide to do these great things. I don't know. It was a really powerful, or maybe not powerful, but it was a very inspirational thing for me, like you say, Ricky. And I guess it afforded me a little bit of forgiveness, or it inspired me that maybe people in my orbit could change if they only wanted to. And lo and behold, they did. My mother, my friends, whoever the case may be, they did decide to change, and I believe that it could be done, and thereby had a little bit more patience and was able to build some bridges instead of burning them. Up next, absolute powerhouse of a Seether song. Hope I didn't bring the mood down too much for you guys.
We're gonna bring it right back up with this fucking song. Let's
This
go.
fucking bop. No Jesus Christ. I'm going to tell you guys a really juvenile thing I thought when I was a kid. I'm not religious now, but when I was a very small lad, I was. And I couldn't have anything blasphemous or sacrilegious. So I saw the name No Jesus Christ, took it at face value, and didn't listen to the song. Obviously, the song is you, personally. You are not Jesus Christ. You're not perfect. And the song is an incredible fucking bop. It's got a fucking incredible bass riff. It's atmospheric. It's fun. The lyrics are fucking amazing. Speculated like a whole lot of Seether songs to be a jab at Amy Lee. Actually, I think it is. I think that's confirmed. But God, let me quit yapping. What do you guys think of this?
I'm going on another long tangent in a moment because this is my favorite Seether song of all time. So I want to give the floor to Chris for a moment.
Yeah, I wish they would get back to stuff like this. Kind of just letting songs breathe. I feel like so many of their songs are kind of like to the point and done.
I agree.
Which is kind of funny because I think it was Feast or Famine. He was like, just let it breathe. Like, that was one of the lyrics. So it's like, well, let your songs breathe.
And No Jesus Christ is definitely a song that benefits from its length, like we were talking about with like Simplest Mistake last episode. Ricky, I'm gonna let you have it. Are you ready?
Yeah, but this is one of my favorite songs of all time. I'm not even kidding. Like, um, every fucking second of it has it on the edge of my, on the edge of my seat more than any other Seether song, perhaps. Despite its length, in fact, it could be twice as long, and I'd still love it. There's just something about like the atmosphere in this song and the way in which the instruments are working together. I mean, for its genre, for post grunge or alt rock, whatever you want to call it, this is a masterpiece. This is very Tool like, very prog like, and it's just like Fallen. It's very menacing and haunting, but also gets very emotional. My favorite part of the song is the "You keep taking over, I keep rolling over, can't take it anymore." That has resonated with me so much because I'm somebody who's prone to like looping and pervasive like analytical thoughts that just can't fucking stop, and so I really related to that. The whole sequence of put the gun in my mouth and pull the trigger, like I was like 13 years old hearing this for the first time, and like my jaw was like down to here. I just like, this is like fucking incredible. This is one. Some songs take a while to grow on you. From the moment I heard this, I'm like, I need more shit like this in my life. This was like a gateway for me to get into like heavier music and stuff. So, and something has to be said too for the instrumental section at the end, because it's so unexpected. It comes out of nowhere, but it's so like peaceful, and it's like the song reaches its climax at about 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and then it's just a nice little part for you to like contemplate life as it plays. Just, I don't know. They say music speaks to the soul. This is one of those things that I just simply can't put into words. Um,
Yeah, if No Jesus Christ is a violent purging of emotions, the instrumental at the end is just the long inhale and exhale as you think it's over. I got it out. I can rest now. Sean Morgan recently in Beneath the Veil said, "I bleed the vein to cleanse the sacred poison." I like to interpret that as the music. What he is giving us, that is the sacred poison that he has to purge from himself. That's the emotional weight that he has to part with.
Never thought of that. Oh, real quick, Morgan, before you go on, I wanted to touch on a couple production things I forgot to mention. The clean guitars sound so good on this album, and the drums and the crash cymbals, just everything, and the bass tone. Like on Carmen Effect, you can barely hear the bass, but here it is front and center in certain songs, and I am here for it. This is how you
Most
make.
of all, this and Fallen.
This is how you mix a fucking album. I don't care what Sean says about Howard Benson personally. That guy clearly knows his shit.
Yeah, I meant to touch on Howard Benson, stepping in to produce this one at the beginning. Yeah, just a very, very, very rocky relationship between him and the guys, but man, did he work wonders with this fucking album.
No doubt.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on put the gun in my mouth and pull the trigger. Sometimes Sean doesn't always take full advantage of the kind of grovel that he can kind of conjure from in his chest. When he delivers those lines, it's almost like half fucking growled, like it is from deep in the fucking soul. I remember I had this friend that was just a really pretentious music snob, and he did not get Seether. He didn't get the lyrics. He thought the guitar was fucking ass. Just didn't want anything to do with it. I showed him No Jesus Christ. He thought it was terrible. Fuck him. But I told him, I was like, this is my favorite part of the song. Put the gun in my mouth and pull the fucking trigger. I feel so alive here. He was like, ew, why would you? Just didn't get it. He was like, why is that your favorite part? Because I felt it. I mean, goddamn, this song found me at a point when I wanted to fucking die. And it just, I don't know. Like you said, Ricky, you can't put words to everything. This song spoke to me in a way that I needed, like a lot of Seether songs do.
Human existence is a fragile thing, and no one conveys that message better than Seether musically, I think.
Yeah. Anything to add, Chris, before I move on to the next?
No, not really.
Oh, I have one more thing about Rise Above This. So many thoughts in my head. This album.
It's all right.
Rise Above This is unique in the fact that, along with Careless Whisper, which is not their original song, those are the only two songs in their entire discography that utilize a fade out, as opposed to letting a chord ring out or just ending a song. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like how that
Yeah.
octave riff just kind of like fades away, like you would hear in the 70s and 80s. So I think that's
Yeah.
interesting that that's their only song that utilizes that little trick.
I don't. The fade can be used to some great effect in some songs, but overall, I don't really care for it. I guess I'm burnt out because it was so incredibly overused in like the 70s and 80s. You know, like you say, Ricky.
Yeah.
I do think it works to rise above this is favor.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I haven't. I would prefer to like strike a chord and then like mute and have like a solid cutoff at the end of a song. But sometimes the fade can be advantageous, I suppose. Anyway, up next is Six Gun Quota. The song was originally going to be called Six Shot Quota. What an absolute fucking bop. I've burned down every bridge that I've found. Now I limit myself to a 6-gun quota. What do you guys think of this one?
This is another great song. Every song you're naming, I'm just realizing this is just a best of compilation. Is this a studio album? But yeah, it's cool because it kind of follows a similar vibe to Fake It, Fuck Me Like You Hate Me, with all the like fun party vibes and everything, kind of more mainstream sound. But the bridge gets like really dark, and there's a nice contrast to the rest of the song, which is my favorite part of the song. It feels so good to be numb. I hate what I become. That part hits really deep for me. It's just a fun song about like dark lyrical subject matter, and I love that like just juxtaposition of like happy vibes instrumentally, but kind of conveying a more meaningful message. And this song, I believe, is about like Sean's alcoholism at the time, but I could be mistaken. And the gun was just like a metaphor for the alcohol.
I think that's exactly what it is. That's what I've always taken it to mean. Hence the original name, 6-Shot Quota.
Mm-hmm.
What you think, Chris?
Yeah, Morgan, you kind of stole my talking point, but
Were you going to talk about the name?
yeah, but even if you want to say like gun, I mean the song is kind of about not trusting people, burning bridges. So, I mean, 6-gun quota still makes sense if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you could take gun literally and kind of envision it as like this kind of embattled person that keeps getting themselves into trouble and keeps burning bridges rather than building them. Or you could do what I do and take gun as a metaphor for liquor. Every shot is still a nail in the coffin. You're still, dooming yourself. You're still harming yourself. You could literally replace, the word gun with like a shot of liquor, and I think the song still works. Ricky, you look like you have maybe some more thoughts. Am I leaving you here?
Oh no, I'm quite finished, and that might be the only time you ever hear me say that.
Ricky's always got something else to say.
When it comes to this,
brother. God, what a good song! And to your point, Ricky, I could see that playing at like a party or something.
Yeah, for sure.
People today, obviously, aren't really listening to that, but it's got such a wild energy about it. Kind of like that song, "Pumped Up Kicks." The school shooter song. It's so catchy and fun until you listen to the lyrics. Anyway, up next, this is Seether's most played non-single.
Really?
Yeah, so as far as like deep cuts go, I think this is the one that probably resonates most with people for whatever reason. This is Walk Away from the Sun. This is a song that the band was so confident in, apparently, that John Humphrey speculated or kind of hoped that, this would maybe be like what the band's future kind of looked like. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. That might have been kind of wishful thinking on his part. Maybe he was especially connected to this one. But what a good song, all the same. When Sean says, I could walk away from the sun and kill everyone. Like, I fundamentally do not care. You have lost me. I have like nothing but apathy at this point. I'm turning my back on all of this. Just what an incredible song. And I love instrumentally, the acoustic intro and everything. Just an absolute fucking bop. I'm gonna give it to you guys. What do you think?
Yeah, I like this one a lot too. Now, granted, I do like the first half a lot better, where it's like softer, and I kind of wish the whole song was like that, quite honestly. But lyrics really hit home. Great use of acoustic guitar, little ambient keyboard in the background. All of that's awesome. I like to look at this as the sort of spiritual predecessor to the song Roses, which I'll talk more about that connection on the next video we do. But kind of sister songs, if you will. They're the kind of the very experimental songs of their respective albums.
I think Roses is a very overhated song, by the way. I love that song.
It's a great song too. But yeah, this song demonstrates great like artistic growth and a willingness to do something different. I really appreciate it for that. Oh, and it has a great guitar solo. I think the guitar solos on this album are so much better than like some of the stuff we've been getting lately from Corey, because these solos have like character and their own like context within the song. It's not just like, okay, insert generic lead here, you know what I mean? So you just can tell this album was made with like such love and care. Like every little detail that went into it is what
fuck every critic or whatever that didn't want to look favorably upon this album at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it got like the worst reviews, like from a critic standpoint, of any of their albums, which I find so hard to believe.
Baffling, yeah. You got anything to add on Walk Away from the Sun, Chris?
No, it's one of their best songs, I think. A lot of these lyrics, I think, I read they were controversial with talking about guns and stuff. That's pretty much all I got for this one.
People are so touchy about the guns and shit in America. I actually postponed my Isolate and Medicate tattoo because the Isolate and Medicate cover would not make a great tattoo on its own, in my opinion. I think it's one of their weaker cover arts. I was just going to get like the shadow of the gun on my arm and maybe the words Isolate and Medicate. So more inspired by the cover than directly based off of it, like my other stuff. Everybody in my orbit was like, no, people get just super fucking touchy. They don't like tattoos already, but if you get a gun anywhere, then you're fucking persona non grata all of a sudden. I was like, fine, I'll think it over, maybe put it somewhere else, or maybe just skip this one. So that one's kind of on hold for now because people are so touchy, about a gun.
Right.
Great song all the same. Sean does say I could take or leave. I could kill all of you. It'd make no difference to me in the song. Of course, he doesn't mean it literally, but...
Oh, small little piece of trivia about this song. This song was written while Sean Morgan was in rehab, and
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that's where a lot of that kind of loathing of humanity comes from, I presume.
Yeah, safe to assume. So this is just a me thing, but the next song, I've always kind of pictured, or like, I've always kind of held it as like a partner to Walk Away from the Sun. Like there's the whole album and then there's these two kind of right there in their own little slot together. I don't know why, but I take them as a package deal. The next song is Eyes of the Devil. way too overlooked in my opinion. The vibes of this song feel, kind of end of days. The line at the end, the repetition of Jesus save me, repeated a few times, and you get Jesus save me from me. Again, back into the themes of just self-destructive tendencies, and Sean said he's not religious. He doesn't think of God as like an entity or a person. You know, he writes about Jesus kind of metaphorically, I suppose. But all the same, what an incredible song. Chris, what you got on this one?
Yeah, so you're talking about partners with Walk Away from the Sun. I think it's a partner song with No Jesus Christ. At the end he could be referring to like a higher power, or he could be mocking this person that he's talking about and No Jesus Christ. Kind of like, save me since you think you're God or whatever. Um the eyes of the devil, I think it could represent maybe abusing substances, kind of like red eyes, being stoned or whatever. Or it could be maybe eyes of like sin and temptation, stuff like that.
Real quick before I forget, the eyes of the devil being kind of a I suppose a metaphor for like substance abuse. It's definitely an interesting theory. He says, "Run with the eyes of the devil and keep him in your dreams." Or if you succumb to the lies of the rebel, then you'll rid yourself of me. That could play into that theory. Run with the eyes of this predator or whatever. You'll see him in your dreams. This is something that's going to stick with you. Essentially, is what the theme of like this verse is, I think. And if you ultimately succumb to this thing, if you give in, then you will cleanse yourself of me. Like, you run this path if you want, but I cannot be there. When you do, you really might be onto something. I think that's. I'm gonna listen to the song after this with that in mind and kind of see what the vibes say, I suppose.
You guys are much better at like deciphering lyrics and what they truly are than I am, because
you're very numbers oriented. You're very analytical.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I'm like the Spock of this group, if you want to start. But yeah, I know what the lyrics need to be, and I don't really look too deeply into them. But it is still very interesting to hear your interpretations of it. But obviously, this is a great song, one of my favorites on the album as well. It's a musician's dream come true with the odd time signatures, that unique little guitar going on in the verses. This is probably John Humphrey's best drumming performance on any Seether song. I'll stand by that. This is another song that's lengthy but doesn't overstay its welcome. And
agreed.
I'm praising this album a lot, but this I truly believe is Sean's best album vocally too. He just puts everything he has into the chorus vocals, and I agree with what you said earlier, Morgan, that his vocals on this album just sounds like a cleansing and a necessary purge of his emotions at the time. So great
Sacred
stuff.
Poison.
Yeah, this song's a banger.
And also, Chris, Eyes of the Devil potentially being kind of a part two to No Jesus Christ. I really like that idea. I'm definitely, when I do listen to it later, I'm definitely going to kind of pair them together, because that's also an interesting idea.
I also love the rhythm guitar.
Yeah, it's good. We use this word a lot talking about Seether, but just the atmosphere, it's incredible.
Another thing real quick about this song. So some songs on this album are a little more like mid-tempo or kind of take their time to get going, like No Jesus Christ. This is a very like urgent song and like anxiety ridden and stuff. So I really like that dynamic of the song too, like just a sense of desperation throughout.
The way it starts with that like alternating pick is like, it's like an alarm sounding. Like, it's here. we have to go right now. It is very urgent. That's a good point.
This is probably, for my money, the darkest song on the album, or it's the one that makes me feel the most sad, I suppose.
Yeah. I was gonna cover something else, but I completely forgot, so I'm just gonna sweep that under the fucking rug and get on to the next one.
I don't believe it.
Fuck you, Ricky. I am sick to death of you. Next track is Don't Believe. I'm gonna let you guys take this one first. What do we think? Don't Believe.
Chris, you've pointed out something about this song you really like, but I don't want to steal your thunder. I wonder if it's what.
Yeah, you're talking about the ending?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I don't
gonna
know
talk
the
about it if you
term
didn't.
for it, but they kind of brought it back with The Surface. I also heard that Howard Benson wanted Sean to play a sitar in this song.
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
It's like those long guitars, I guess.
Like, okay, I don't know if you're a Metallica dude, but you know the song Wherever I May Roam?
Yes.
That is the instrument used in like the first 20 seconds of that song, mimicking the main riff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Great song, by the way. I also love the little like glitch or like stutter effect at the end.
Oh yeah, that's like some Linkin Park type shit.
I suppose it is. This song, I love what they did with like the palm muted guitar synced with the drums. I don't know what that technique is called, if indeed it has a name, but I know that that's something that you typically see a lot more in metal and stuff. And that in mind, this song really feels to me personally like more of an alternative metal kind of song or like an atmospheric kind of metal. Um, this song is, I don't know what I think this song means. I just know what it makes me feel, and it is borderline fucking hopeless. You don't have anybody in your corner. Just give up while you're fucking ahead almost. Um, it, Instrumentally, I think it's one of the stronger tracks on the album. Not that any of them are weak on this album. But this song is just such a fucking powerhouse. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
What do you
this
think, Ricky?
yeah, this is another highlight for me, for sure. These last four songs on the album, and like Suicide, all give me like intense emo vibes from that time. I don't know if that's the intention, but I certainly appreciated that at the time. And despite having virtually the same chorus as like Suicide, it's a great fucking chorus, so I don't care that it was repeated once more. Yeah, the guitars in this thing are amazing. My favorite part in the song is the bridge, where it's just like a very high pitched electric guitar that almost sounds like another instrument. That part's incredible. It's unlike anything else in the discography. Um, I'd say the song very much falls in line with Eyes of the Devil and goes for that sort of like just vibe of like being in agony and stuff. So that's really cool. This song to me has always sounded a lot like The Diary of Jane by Breaking Benjamin.
As far as like the vibe, I suppose I can see it.
Yeah.
Objectively, I don't know if I get that much. Also, the penultimate song on the album, by the way, and we're seeing that Seether trend of having one of your heaviest or one of your most fucking banger songs be second to last, and then lead into a very depressing or mellow final song. We'll get to that in one sec.
They have always done that, haven't they?
Yeah, I kind of dig it. I think I would have changed it with The Surface Seems So Far, just because I think that album really could have benefited from being kind of switched around a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of the formula. And let me just say, we're flowing so nicely here. This album, just track to track, just feels like such a logical progression.
For sure.
Forgot what I was going to say again. So on to the final track, excluding Careless Whisper. The next track is Waste. And I love this song, but like Rise Above This, I kind of have to be in the mood for it. Um, it's very similar thematically to something like Regret, where it's like I'm I'm beaten. I've pretty much given up. Find me a way, any way, to leave this wasted life behind. Let me start anew. I'm ready. And we're talking about being in rehab and stuff, and what better kind of embodies that sentiment. Uh, However, this is still, as far as slower Seether songs go, like not necessarily my favorite. Again, I have to really be in the mood for it. How do we feel?
I love this song now, but this one probably took the longest to grow on me. Like I never used to listen to the song, but I really appreciate it now. I think if it weren't for Sean's like immaculate vocal performance, it might be a pretty run-of-the-mill Seether song, but he carries this thing and puts all of his passion into it. So, I mean, the lyrics are cool, the guitars are cool. I mean, I don't know how many of you know the story about, it's actually not Sean Morgan playing guitar on that track. It is a friend of his, which is why it sounds a little different.
I forgot about that story. I remember reading that online a couple years ago.
Yeah, I have no idea who the guy is, but um, so it's a
Some
guitar
guy that was
part.
like, let me play the guitar on a track.
Um, yeah, so good song, good closer. I would have maybe liked something a little more hopeful to end the album. With this being the album that has Rise Above This and everything, and the title being Finding Beauty in Negative Spaces, it does feel like such a like you said earlier, like hopeless sort of feel to end the album on. So, but it is what it is. It's still a cool track.
Maybe it is. If you look past the surface, maybe it is a little bit more hopeful, because after all, he is saying, find me a way to leave this wasted life behind. What he's essentially saying, if you want to kind of be obtuse about it, is let me start anew. If finding beauty in negative spaces is the violent purging like we were talking about.
I suppose that's one way to look at it. He just sounds so defeated, though. I can't really look at it any other way.
Yeah, I'm just trying.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, I don't listen to it as much as I should, but I heard he got the idea from I think it was like after a show or something. He and a bunch of fans got sent to a hospital, and so he's kind of just looking around at all the fans and himself, and that's kind of where the song came from. But I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Okay, so I know the event, the story that you're talking about. I didn't know that it was connected potentially to the song Waste. See, what happened that night at the hospital, it's a story that he's recounted elsewhere before. He, again, he and some fans had to go to the hospital. And while he was there, he saw these young girls that were like deathly, deathly fucking ill. And they had been clearly through something very traumatic. And he was like, what the fuck is going on over there? And some passerby told him, they were at like this rock concert and they got fucking roofied. And he had this just awful realization. They had been roofied at his fucking show, and he was like, is that what our fucking fans are doing? Is that who I'm making this music for? Like, is that the crowd that we invite or that we inspire? Obviously, that's not the case. That's just a few fucking worthless, individuals. But still, I could the fucking grief that you would feel for those young women in that scenario has got to be just absolutely profound, especially knowing that it happened. Obviously, it's not Sean's responsibility. There's nothing he could have done. If anything, that's on the venue. But still, in that instance, you're going to feel responsible for those young women, and that's something that would stick with me forever. I don't think I would be able to let that go.
There's been a horrific Seether stereotype over the years, but really just pertaining to the fans that Seether fans are like always these like beer guzzling, like wife beater types of people. I hate being clumped in with those people because I love and adore those band, and none of those characteristics are like me or anybody I know that likes this band, quite frankly.
I haven't really witnessed that. I have seen people like that at shows I've been to Seether shows all over the southeastern United States. In my opinion, I hate to generalize based upon an entire location, but it seems somewhat to kind of vary by city. The Atlanta crowd, for example, was awful. They were throwing shit. They were fighting. Um, a guy tried to fucking pick a fight with me. Um, him and his wife were like, they were way too close to me. They were very drunk. They were like stepping on me, and I couldn't see past them. So I asked my wife, I was like, very politely, mind you, I was like, hey, can you step over to the side a little bit so that I can get out from behind this guy? He overheard me. There was no negative intonation or anything. I wasn't even trying to be a dick, but he heard me and turned around and he's in my face and he's trying to like start a fight and shit. And I was like, my brother in Christ, I'm just trying to give you some room and see the fucking band. Like, I didn't mean nothing by it. I do not want to get fucking ejected from a Seether show. I drove quite a distance for that. You know, um, ultimately, I think his wife sensed that he was kind of being a dick, so she tried to kind of break the ice, and again, hopelessly wasted. She was like, "Oh, I love your shirt. Like, this is so soft." Like she was trying to, I guess, kind of compliment me and my wife. It was very, very awkward, and I really just didn't want anything to do with it. But the band definitely picked up on that shit, man. They played their set and got the fuck out of there even more hastily than they normally do. There wasn't any throwing picks, there wasn't any talking. They played and fucking dipped like the opening act did before them. I mean, that was awful, man. I say all this to say I've definitely seen some of those bad actors that see the shows.
So, what do we think about the 2009 post-grunge version of the George Michael classic "Careless Whisper"?
What a transition. I actually love it. What they did translating the sax to guitar was brilliant.
Yes.
Do you guys know how this song was conceived?
I think I heard some rumblings about it in the past, but I don't recall.
Okay, I just didn't want to take another talking point from Chris. So Sean and Dale, you know what Careless Whisper is, you know, the kind of romantic connotation. Sean and Dale used to call each other, let it go to voicemail, and just send each other like blaring recordings of snippets of George Michael's original song, just as a goof, like, "Hey baby, I miss you." And it became this whole fucking meme between them. The label, for like some Valentine's shit or something, I can't remember, wanted them to record a bonus track. They wanted them to do something romantic. And they were like, "Hey, what if we did Careless Whisper?" And they secured the paperwork or whatever and got to it. God, I'm talking too much. What a great song. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is a really cool version of Careless Whisper. Probably surpasses the original in my eyes. Another great vocal performance from Sean. They really seether it up a little bit. And
Yep.
even though the lyrics are the same, with their performance, they changed the whole meaning of the song, because the first one's a little more riddled in sadness and despair, whereas this one's kind of more like just angsty and agitated and angry and like
You talk about Sean giving 110% vocally this album. This is another song where he really just belted that shit out. A song that he did not have to go so hard for.
Yeah, for something that they supposedly made as like a joke, is what I heard. It makes me a little sad and probably pisses them the hell off that this became one of their biggest hits, because they have so much material. And like, granted that they did a great job with this, but I feel even worse for a band like Alien Ant Farm, who just had that cover of Smooth Criminal and nobody knows anything else they do. And they're a solid band. But
Yeah, they are.
you gotta feel for Seether that this is easily in their top 5 biggest hits.
Oh, it's nowhere near All Stars Smash Mouth or Smash Mouth's All Star. Excuse me. Um, God, that song has tormented that band. They go on stage and they're like, "No, we're not gonna fucking play it."
Yeah, at least Seether got away with like dropping Careless Whisper from the set list after a couple years, and no one really cared.
Yeah. Um,
I heard a few
Sean,
fans were mad they were playing it live. They thought the band was turning gay or something.
what kind of stupid shit is that? God, some of the people in this fandom are fucking imbeciles sometimes.
Um,
Very few.
so what are we thinking about another unique and distinct entity, track 14, Careless Whisper's strings version?
I've never even paid it much mind. What's the
No,
difference?
no, I'm just joking around because it's the same shit. There's only just subtle differences in the production. So that concludes
Um,
the album. Do we want to touch on No Shelter real quick because it was around this era? We kind of talked about it earlier.
yeah, famously showed up on NCIS, another little soundtrack song. I think the song is kind of criminally, overlooked. I really like it. I love the way Sean belts out, if we don't find our way, we're gonna fall. I don't find any comfort in this world. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But honestly, great song. I love it. What do you guys think? Fun to play too.
Yeah, it's a cool little song. I do agree with the band's assessment that it didn't really fit the themes of the rest of the album. It kind of has the same thing as like Feast or Famine from Parabellum, where it's a banger, but it just does not thematically fit with the rest because it's
I certainly agree with that. I
yeah.
take back what I said about Fallen. It doesn't. Upon closer examination, it does not scream bonus track to me. But
You
I
have to
think
have Fallen because it fits in with all the lyrical themes. It actually kills two birds with one stone. It gets to talk about all the Hollywood shit and Amy Lee, so you gotta have that one.
yeah,
Chris, you like No Shelter, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'd rather have No Shelter than Fallen. But I still understand. I mean, Fallen kind of matches better.
yeah. Uh,
Like many other songs on this album, and this is kind of an unusual case for the band. The chorus is the best part of the song, and I just love the choruses on this album. And on other albums, especially recent ones, I find the verses or bridge end up being the best part. But these choruses
I
are
agree.
amazing on Finding Beauty.
Um, I actually had not realized this previously, but they shipped the like demo version of Fake It as like a pre-order bonus on iTunes.
Oh yeah, Quirk.
Yeah, under a different name. I never cared for it as far as like demos go. It's not my favorite. I guess it is interesting to see Fake It before the final product.
Yeah, it's like all right. I mean, definitely a different take on it. But okay, this is a real like Easter egg and a rarity. But how about that other Fake It demo along with the No Jesus Christ one? You know, the ones that are in very low quality and you can barely hear it. Some guys like fucking with like a rapper or something.
Yeah, I know the one. I
I
think
mean,
Angel's got it, or Neo has got it on his channel.
okay, yeah, I knew somebody had uploaded them. The No Jesus Christ demo is terrible, but the Fake It one was kind of cool.
I like the No Jesus Christ demo.
Really?
I
I
mean, I
can't
wouldn't
speak to it.
replace it with, the actual final, but it's interesting.
It's just the spoken word part where he just says no Jesus Christ and he's not screaming. It really throws
That's
me.
what I like.
Yeah, it's different.
Fucking great debate. I'm not really familiar with the No Jesus Christ demo. I'm gonna have to listen to it at some point. I'm sure I have before, but I can't remember it.
You'll have to check it out. It's extremely low quality and it's only like 3.5 minutes. It's they definitely cut a lot.
Um,
An interesting little thing they did, a change they made was like in the outro with the clean guitars. That's the part where he says, "Put the gun in my mouth," and pull the trigger like over that at the end.
That's
the
cool.
The song structure was really changed in the final product.
We got B-sides this album. We got Naked, Left for Dead, and an untitled instrumental that sounds kind of, like Middle Eastern. I'm sure you guys have probably heard it.
So I have heard these, but out of everything, including all demos and rarities in Seether's discography, I'm probably the least familiar with these. Like, I wouldn't know like Naked or Left for Dead if I heard them. I swear, I think I've listened to them like once, so I have nothing bad about these.
I love them all. They've got some really, really good, like melancholic kind of little guitar solos. The like people have kind of nicknamed it like the Egyptian instrumental, the untitled one. It sounds fucking awesome. What's up?
I'm gonna have to revisit these. I forgot they like existed, honestly.
Oh yeah, you got homework.
Because they're not on Spotify, so like I don't think of them.
Yeah. I love them both. We'll definitely revisit this in the first half of next episode. Because I also haven't heard them in a very long time. We can come back to them with kind of fresh eyes and talk about these. Unless, of course, you have any particular thoughts on them, Chris.
So probably out of all those, I'd say the Untitled and Naked would be my favorites. I do have to give a thumbs up to Left 4 Dead though, since I play the game. So it's
I love
kind
that
of
game.
cool.
It was in a game.
No, the game.
Oh, it
Left 4
wasn't
Dead,
in a game. Yeah,
the
similar
zombie
vein.
game.
Oh, okay.
God, I didn't much care for Back for Blood, Chris. If you played that kind of a
Yeah, that was
spiritual successor to
terrible.
those games,
And I
didn't
bought
think
it for
was
like
terrible.
$70.
It just didn't have that sauce, like Left 4 Dead did.
It felt too much like Call of Duty or something.
Yeah.
So we got
God.
Left 4 Dead, Dead and Done, Dead on the Vine. Everything's just dead.
I had a coworker that wouldn't say that's funny or whatever. He would say, "I'm dead," or "I'm dead all over the ground." He said it like 100 times a day. He's dead all over the ground. It was the funniest fucking thing. He could reply to the most unfunny shit you've ever seen with that and like retroactively make it funny. Like, I suppose he would love Seether. Anyway, you just made me think of him, Ricky. So that's our retrospective finding beauty in negative spaces. Dead and done. It's over with. Sorry, Ricky. I just had to get in on the fun for a minute. I hate myself for it, though.
It gets addicting. Be careful. Oh, a little pun I saw someone make one time, because I used to read all like Amazon reviews and stuff, and some people are very harsh on there, and particularly with this album, given the time period, and some like Amazon person who bought it just titled the review, "You won't find much beauty in this space."
What a dick.
Yeah, totally.
God, I'm so happy to have revisited this album. The show gave me an excuse to, revisit it start to finish. And I had such a good time with it. These are really timeless concepts, kind of like listening to a lot of 70s, 80s, 90s bands, a purging of feelings, rather than speaking about something present and, actionable. That's always going to be relatable. We all have emotion, we all experience similar things. God, I needed finding beauty in negative spaces.
Every song's just got its own character and unique feel, whereas like later on I'm gonna be like, okay, I guess I like that Poison the Paris song marginally better than the last one. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Before I get on into kind of the outro, wrapping up this monster episode. Do we have anything we want to add? Last chance. Finding Beauty, that tour, that era, these tracks. Last call. You missed your chance. Okay. Those of you that contribute to this community and keep the discussion going and are sharing this thing with us, thank you so much for bearing with us for a 4th episode, sharing this iconic piece of Seether history with us. I say this every episode, I know, but it really does make me very, very happy to be able to sit down and share this with you guys.
We were very fucking bored before this when it comes to, see the content, because there hasn't been much going on since the album release, so we thought to do this. It's been a great journey, and definitely join and contribute to the discussion if you feel like you want that.
That reminds me very quickly. One last little note. We were kind of talking about this a little bit before the show, but those of you that want to join, want to sit down with us, we'll leave emails in the description. For Chris and myself, you can send us a little email and just let us know what it is you want to talk about or what you want to say. And that'll give us a more proper, more effective way to get you in here to sit down with us. And, hopefully we can have a good time that way.
But you will be subject to an intense interview process. No,
Yes, there are 3 rounds of interviews. You have to appear before the council. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off before I find something else to rant about. Have a good night, everybody. I'm so glad to have you here, and we will see you for episode 5.